Good evening! Welcome to the show. My name is Timothy Morrow. Everyone is always talking about the holes in American policies. Immigration, the economy, education. But what about America's physical holes? Potholes, sinkholes, manholes, blackholes? Not blackholes. Potholes. The overlooked killer of modern American infrastructure. They're so annoying and a source of too much stress. Take a look at this montage. Now you remember? Potholes. The thing that prevents you from falling asleep in the car. The monstrosity that makes the cake you're bringing to the party flip over. The annoyance that makes it impossible to drink water in the car from all the jolting around.
Chug, mama, chug, chug, do it. Yeah. Oh, she's chugging it. She's chugging it. Keep on going. Oh, those potholes.
I just want a drink of water. Is that too much to ask? This guy is swimming in it. In a pothole. And how many times have you heard on a plane after a bumpy landing? It's not the plane's fault. It's not the pilot's fault. It's the asphalt. Even 21 Pilots sing in their song, Tear in My Heart. You fell asleep in my car. I drove the whole time. But that's okay. I'll just avoid the holes so you sleep fine. I'm driving here I sit, cursing my government for not using my taxes to fill holes with more cement. Now that's poetry! How about that for an introduction? Now, let's get to the science of this. Potholes are caused by the eroding pavement due to the wear and tear of the vehicles that drive on it. That's right, we create little cracks in the road. And from there, water enters in, expands, and contracts, and then there we have it. A giant, menacing, and disgusting pothole. I know, it's hard to take the blame for something so irksome and vexatious like potholes, but I digress. There are more troubles to follow.
This car's suspension broken. Its bumper ripped apart too.
The estimate was right around $3,200.
$3,000
Yep.
for one pothole.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that again. $3,000 for one pothole. And it is the government's job to fix, roads being property of the state. So, there's something called a Department of Transportation form, or a DOT form. You fill it out, explaining how you were damaged by the pothole, where it is the pothole, etc., etc., etc. And then you're done, right? You wish. A branch of the USA Today Network Journal team has reported that, and I quote, Section 58 of state highway law protects its agencies from being held responsible for vehicle damage between November 15th and May 1st, which is typically the worst time for potholes. This clause is not noted on the Thruway and State DOT, Department of Transportation forms, drivers fill out. They also say that in order for the government to give you money based on your claim, there needs to have been a previous and separate complaint against the very same pothole that has not been fulfilled, or not filled. This has gotten people like Thomas Abenanti, a state assemblyman from New York, who has experienced many a flat tire and expensive car repairs, to come up with legislation against these horrible loopholes, suggesting that maybe after each pothole claim, there is a 24-hour time window in which to fix it, because nowadays, it's 2 months. Also, Abenanti's legislation would get rid of that awful time gap of non-responsibility, because that is kinda immature. Abenanti has stated that he was inspired to make this bill because he has been damaged by potholes himself. Who knows, though? Maybe the potholes he keeps running over is just karma for him begging for a salary hike in 2014. Kind of ironic, actually. But then again, potholes, the Abenantinator is coming for you. Now let's talk finance. In America, we spend $3 billion annually fixing damage from potholes. That is a lot of money. And according to state websites, when fixing the majority of the potholes state by state, it is only in the single-digit millions. So I'm talking around like $4 million. People are obviously going to want the DOT, the Department of Transportation, and the government in taxes to fix them, rather than just sucking it up and paying for the damages. Although some people believe $3 billion out of our pockets is better, strangely. And don't you dare say that people are not going to want to have a tiny increase of taxes because they never were damaged by potholes. Because they are freaking annoying, and everyone is, in fact, affected by them. On a more serious note, it doesn't seem like small indents in the road can, but potholes can be deadly.
Yeah, Glenda, sources confirmed to 7 Action News that an eyewitness saw this crash as it happened. And this dad either hit the pothole and then swerved, or swerved to avoid the pothole and then crashed. A gash in the tree, broken pieces of plastic still remain on the country road where a family has been devastated by what could be a single huge pothole.
Each year, about 11,000 people die from crashing involving poor road conditions, including potholes. That's 11,000 deaths that can be prevented by just destroying loopholes in legislation. 11,000 people who won't die while going to work by just spending a couple $1 million, rather than paying $3 billion like we are now. In terms of the citizens' role, we are doing exactly what we should be, reporting them left and right if there's damage to your car or not, but our money, our time, should be used in a more efficient way. To the DOT and various road committees of the government, you guys need to be actually aware of this matter. As in, make it easier for people to complain, stop the loopholes, and certainly the laziness in fixing them. Make the DOT form easier to find, pass up annotators legislation, make the website easier to navigate around, do something. We have to get people to the point of when they hear pothole, they no longer think of an idiot stoner who's also a jerk, or another word I'm not allowed to say in school, but something worse. Killer bumps in the road. Potholes are not the only killer, though. There are still dangerous sinkholes, manholes, blackholes? Not black holes. Don't even get me started on manholes, though. Like, just because you put up a bunch of orange cones, it's definitely not going to stop some stupid person trying to jump in. And I'm not even going to mention the manhole cover theft. Yes, that is a thing. A couple dimwits thought it would be funny to steal the cover to manholes in New York City. It would have been easier to have stolen any tourist's wallet in Times Square, and you choose a manhole cover. Anyway, sinkholes are also a deadly phenomena. In certain places, it's not an extremely rare occurrence when a random hole will just swallow up a car or even a couple people. Take a look at the second montage. And no! Those are not any of the holes they used to film Alice in Wonderland. Those are horrible and deadly holes, and people are now stuck there. Insensitive. Gosh. But whether it's on a city street or a rural farm, no one is safe from a sinkhole.
Landscapes where water erodes limestone, like this and other rock types, are called karst. Rainwater becomes acidic when it absorbs carbon dioxide in the air and ground, and over time can eat away the rock, creating caverns, caves, and sinkholes. But how do sinkholes actually form? Rainwater from the surface passes through the cracks, eroding the limestone and carving out a hollow space. When the growing void reaches the underside of the soil layer, dirt will begin to drop into the hole. If the soil is loose or sandy, the surface will begin to sink, gradually forming a bowl-shaped depression called a subsidence sinkhole. But if the soil contains clay, which is more cohesive, the surface will not sag, even as the void underneath grows larger, until, without warning, it suddenly collapses.
The big problem with karst terrain is that it covers 20% of America itself. In states like Florida, Texas, Alabama, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Pennsylvania. So basically, most southern states and then Pennsylvania. Like, what the heck is with Pennsylvania? But it's not just karst terrain. We humans do have a role in causing sinkholes. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, sinkholes can occur because of poor plumbing and leaky faucets. Now, I am this close to going on a rant about Flint, Michigan, and poor plumbing. They also often occur on top of old mines, landfills, basically all the creepy places to have a lit party. So next time you hop the fence to an abandoned warehouse, you might just be cursed with a sinkhole. Ooh. Speaking of parties and sinkholes, actually, New Orleans is the place to be. Just a little more than a month ago, a sinkhole opened up on Canal Street in the middle of bustling New Orleans. No one was hurt, thank goodness, but a completely and totally natural reaction followed. They want to party in the sinkhole. And even worse, they're calling it Sinkhole de Mayo. This is even worse than the manhole cover theft, for crying out loud. They have t-shirts, a Facebook event, and even a traffic cone piñata. All to, according to USA Today, celebrate another catastrophic failure the best way we know how. Dancing, drinking, and general revelry. So how are we going to prevent sinkholes? I mean, they're great to party in apparently, but they're still dangerous. As of now, karst terrain is supposed to be reported on when people are buying a home in a land report. The only problem with that is that sinkholes can just appear, whether it's 20 years in the future or right after the home inspector leaves. Also, people are only compensated for damage if it is considered catastrophic. This can mean that if half your house is destroyed from a sinkhole, that you won't be insured because it's not catastrophic enough. Catastrophic, of course, meaning you lose everything. Florida Senator Jack LaValla is pulling a Thomas Abenatinator and proposing a bill that will lower this bar and help more people out. Because right now, your house basically has to be like Pompeii to be insured. But what about our heritage? In February of 2014, a sinkhole opened right under the National Corvette Museum in Kentucky, destroying 8 priceless cars.
The gaping chasm appeared on Wednesday morning inside the National Corvette Museum in Kentucky, USA. Among the cars which fell prey to the surprise sinkhole were 2 Corvettes on loan from General Motors.
I think the best part of that is the super creepy music. Gives a sense of like a Corvette graveyard. Corvettes are people too. Anyway, Corvettes are the epitome of iconic cars in America, and sinkholes are apparently taking that away from us. Now, some people just internally died at what I just said, like Prince, his poor little red Corvettes. But then some people could care less. But how about this food for thought? What if that sinkhole happened under the Museum of Natural History, or the Seattle Space Needle, or even the Capitol building? Well, that might be okay. But you get the point. Sinkholes are dangerous and can destroy anything at a given point of time. Yes, they naturally occur. But don't forget, faulty plumbing and abandoned party nooks can cause them to naturally occur. Obviously, no one wants sinkholes, because they end up costing money that you are not even insured for. So how can we fix this? Not many people from day to day think about whether they're going to be swallowed up by a sinkhole. And that's good, because that is indeed a depressing thought. But it also shows that people are not aware of the issue to begin with. And honestly, all we know about warning signs is that small holes and cracks might be a sign of a potential sinkhole. See what I mean? We need more research into these monstrosities if we're going to fix them. And then, like potholes before, we need to make this more available for people. As for now, though, we can always chuckle at the small and minor sinkholes in which no one really gets hurt.
They fell nearly 10 feet, but only suffered minor injuries.
Of course, the real monsters are black holes. If we get involved with one of those, all of us are done for. But I digress. Whether it's manholes, potholes, sinkholes, even black holes. No, not black holes. America seriously has a hole epidemic. With more research and less political nonsense from people who are also kind of a hole, we can save countless lives that go unnoticed like the problem itself. Of course, until our imminent demise of being sucked up into a black hole. That's all we have for you today. I'm your host, Timothy Morrow. Thank you, and good night.